35% of adult Americans have prediabetes, and that number just keeps climbing. The Lions Club wants to change that. We are sponsoring these videos so that you can learn what to do to reduce your risk of developing diabetes. The rest is up to you.
Did you ever wonder what diabetes really is? About half of you watching this are expected to develop diabetes in your lifetime. But the great news is that you have the power to reduce your risk of diabetes by doing just a few simple things.
We are here at Northeast Nottoway in Ravenwood, Missouri.
Our fourth grade class is going to demonstrate what the development of type 2 diabetes looks like inside the body.
So to understand diabetes, you must first understand what carbohydrates or carbs are. Carbs turn to glucose or sugar in the blood. The main foods that are carbohydrates include
fruits, grapes and bananas, grains, bread and pasta, starchy vegetables, like potatoes, peas, and corns, milk and yogurt.
Now the carbs we just listed bring a lot of good healthy nutrition into your body. So fruits bring like vitamins and minerals and fiber. Milk brings calcium and protein. So there's one more food that is considered a carb, and it is called
sweets.
So sugar drinks is a type of sweet, and cookies and candies and cakes. So if we had just one 24-ounce bottle of soda, it brings in about that much sugar. And if I just have one a day for a year, I will have had almost 70 pounds of sugar in a year. So we want to limit how many sweets we eat. It can be a sometimes treat. It's not that you can never have it, but it really should be a small sometimes treat. Now the foods that don't turn to sugar in our blood or are not considered significant carbs would be
Non-starchy veggies, like broccoli and cauliflower. Fats, like butter and oil. Protein, like steak and chicken.
So carbohydrates turn to glucose or sugar molecules in your bloodstream. So once you eat these carbohydrates, they're going to turn into glucose or sugar, and that's what these represent. So over here, we have what you can imagine would be your bloodstream floating through your blood, and here represents what's called a fat or muscle cell. When glucose enters into the fat or muscle cell, you're either going to use it for energy or you're going to store it. So here we have Andrea and Riley, and they are representing what's called a receptor at the cell surface. Something has to open this door to let the glucose get in, and that something is called insulin comes from an organ called the pancreas. And so the pancreas makes the keys that we call insulin. Okay, so let's say we had chicken nuggets for lunch. So the chicken in the chicken nuggets is a protein. But then the breading would be a grain. So the grain turns to a glucose molecule, and the glucose wants to get inside the cell, but the cell needs something.
Send the key.
So the pancreas sends insulin. And insulin has to bind to the receptor, and the receptor opens, and the glucose molecules go into the cell. Let's say we had mac and cheese for lunch. So macaroni is a grain.
Send the key.
And let's say we had fruit for lunch.
Send the key.
And we had milk. We drank milk for lunch.
Send the key.
Now our cell's getting full, isn't it? So for glucose balance in the blood, once we eat a meal, we need to have some exercise every day to burn up that fuel source. When there's balance, we've eaten some carbs, and we've exercised so that there's room for the next meal. The cell is ready for the next carbohydrate to come. However, if we don't exercise, then there's not a whole lot of room for more carbs to come in. So let's say you get home from school or work and you decide to have a snack instead of exercising. And let's say we decide on a sweet snack with some regular soda.
Send the key. No, we're too full. No, we're too full.
So what's happening is, everyone freeze. Freeze, freeze, freeze. You notice the sugar's out in the blood and the insulin levels are rising out in the blood. This is the beginning of what we call insulin resistance, and this isn't healthy. If the sugar levels rise in the blood, it can be very, very damaging. If this were your vessels and arteries, and the sugar in your blood is ideal, then blood can flow freely. But if the blood glucose levels are elevated, it causes the blood to get very thick and sticky and sweet. I call it sludge blood. And this can do damage throughout a person's body. Day after day of having sludge blood or high sugar in our blood can eventually lead to clogged vessels and arteries, and we don't want that. So, at the point pre-diabetes sets in, that poor pancreas over here has already worked so hard. He has lost about 30% of his ability to make insulin. He's getting worn out. And if we don't correct this, on the point we diagnose type 2 diabetes, you have lost up to 50 to 70% of your ability to make insulin. So over the next few weeks, we're going to be rolling out 3 videos that will teach you the different things you can do to lower your risk of developing type 2 diabetes so that you can create a healthy year!
Diabetes is a pandemic. Healthy nutrition, exercise, and weight management are key factors in delaying or preventing type 2 diabetes. Be sure to watch for the next 3 Healthy You videos to learn what changes you can make to lower your risk of developing diabetes.